In recent years, the most important mission of the International Seabed Authority, ISA, has been the formulation of the regulations on the exploitation of mineral resources in the international seabed area.
The challenges we are facing are too vast for any nation to solve alone. But together, under the framework UNCLOS and in its implementing agreements, we can ensure a peaceful, sustainable and equitable ocean for the present and future generations.
Tanzania actively participates in regional and international initiatives to enhance maritime safety and security.
In order to achieve decades of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development 2021 to 2030, we stress that much greater efforts should be undertaken by states and all other stakeholders, including through international cooperation and coordination, as well as by providing not only capacity building, but also transfer of marine technology and know-how to the developing countries.
India has also played a vital role in supporting the effective functioning of key institutions established under UNCLOS, including ITLAWS and the Commission on the Limits of Continental Shelf. These bodies are essential to ensuring the Convention's provisions are implemented fairly and that the benefits of ocean use are equitably used.
The law of the sea embodies the principle that our oceans are a shared resource to be managed for the common good. South Africa remains committed to defending its laws, advancing Afro-Asian priorities within the ISA, and ensuring that environmental protection, equity, and the rule of law remain central to global ocean governance. I thank you.
Indeed, in 2021, we amended our Inland Water Transport Act to regulate the inland water transport by the registration of ensuring the registration of vessels, requiring licenses, ensuring safety and management of resources, and also the marine security and port regulation. In this regard, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea provides useful principles that reinforce our national and regional efforts to sustain, manage transboundary waters for the benefit of present and future generations.
The Republic of Korea believes that it is vital to share technologies and enhance capacity among nations to ensure the effective implementation of the law of the sea.
It is a shame for the international community that, despite decades of atrocities against the Palestinian people, violation of their inalienable right to self-determination, and illegal occupation by the Israeli regime, the crimes persist. And the Israeli regime is more brazenly committing aggression, genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity with the support of certain countries.
Malaysia believes that ALCO can be a good platform to galvanize coordinated efforts to realize the inalienable right to self-determination of the Palestinian people.
Djibouti calls on all ALCO member states to ensure the full implementation of their international legal obligations and translate their statements of condemnation into concrete, collective, and coordinated political and legal actions to secure justice for the Palestinian people.
To conclude, Mr. President, we propose that ALCO can support the Palestinian people in the International Law Committee at the United Nations in New York.
In recent years, the most important mission of the International Seabed Authority, ISA, has been the formulation of the regulations on the exploitation of mineral resources in the international seabed area.
The challenges we are facing are too vast for any nation to solve alone. But together, under the framework UNCLOS and in its implementing agreements, we can ensure a peaceful, sustainable and equitable ocean for the present and future generations.
Tanzania actively participates in regional and international initiatives to enhance maritime safety and security.
In order to achieve decades of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development 2021 to 2030, we stress that much greater efforts should be undertaken by states and all other stakeholders, including through international cooperation and coordination, as well as by providing not only capacity building, but also transfer of marine technology and know-how to the developing countries.
India has also played a vital role in supporting the effective functioning of key institutions established under UNCLOS, including ITLAS and the Commission on the Limits of Continental Shelf. These bodies are essential to ensuring the Convention's provisions are implemented fairly and that the benefits of ocean use are equitably used.
The law of the sea embodies the principle that our oceans are a shared resource to be managed for the common good. South Africa remains committed to defending its laws, advancing Afro-Asian priorities within the ISA, and ensuring that environmental protection, equity, and the rule of law remain central to global ocean governance. I thank you.
Indeed, in 2021, we amended our Inland Water Transport Act to regulate the inland water transport by the registration of insurance with registration of vessels, requiring licenses, ensuring safety and management of resources, and also the marine security and port regulation. In this regard, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea provides useful principles that reinforce our national and regional efforts to sustain, manage transboundary waters for the benefit of present and future generations.
The Republic of Korea believes that it is vital to share technologies and enhance capacity among nations to ensure the effective implementation of the law of the sea.
It is a shame for the international community that, despite decades of atrocities against the Palestinian people, violation of their inalienable right to self-determination, and illegal occupation by the Israeli regime, the crimes persist. And the Israeli regime is more brazenly committing aggression, genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity with the support of certain countries.
Malaysia believes that ALCO can be a good platform to galvanize coordinated efforts to realize the inalienable right to self-determination of the Palestinian people.
Djibouti calls on all ALCO member states to ensure the full implementation of their international legal obligations and translate their statements of condemnation into concrete, collective, and coordinated political and legal actions to secure justice for the Palestinian people.
To conclude, Mr. President, we propose that ALCO can support the Palestinian people in the International Law Committee at the United Nations in New York.
The ALCO Opening Working Group on International Law in Cyberspace, convened on the sideline of our 63rd session here in Kampala. Allow me at the outset to thank the Chair, the Islamic Republic of Iran, for their continued leadership of this working group, and to acknowledge the dedication of our Special Rapporteur, Professor Wang, for his tireless effort over the years. Since its establishment in 2015, at the 54th session in Beijing, this working group has become a vital platform for member states to engage in focused, structured discussion on the applicability of international law in cyberspace. In an era where digital technology permits every aspect of international relations, the importance of this work cannot be overstated. Across 6 meetings held in New Delhi, Tokyo, Hangzhou, Bali, and Bangkok, the Open Working Group has examined some of the most pressing issues of our time: sovereignty in cyberspace, cybercrimes, data security, harmful online content, and the peaceful use of digital technologies. It has also provided member states the opportunity to share Afro-Asian contribution to ongoing discussion at the United Nations and other multilateral forums. The hallmark of this process has been its inclusiveness and the consensual approach taken by member states. Guided by your feedback, our Special Rapporteur has carefully refined his work. The finalized report of the Special Rapporteur, which will be discussed today, represents both the conclusion of the current mandate of the Open Working Group and a foundation for member states to consider possible future direction. With this first, I hand the floor to the Chair to continue the proceeding. Thank you.
I'll now hand over to the chair of the open working group so you can lead us through these proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. As chairman of the open-ended working group on international law in cyberspace, I warmly welcome you to the 7th meeting of the working group convened on the sideline of the 63rd annual session of ALCO. I also thank the Secretary General for his opening address, which has set the stage for our discussions today. The ALCO Open-Ended Working Group on International Law in Cyberspace was established at the 54th annual session in Beijing in 2015 and has since convened 6 meetings. Over the years, it has become a central platform for ALCO member states to engage in collective reflection on how international law applies to cyberspace and how Asian African perspective can enrich the global debate. The first meeting in New Delhi in 2016 initiated substantive discussions on sovereignty in cyberspace, the applicability of existing international law, and cooperation in combating cybercrime. The second meeting in 2017 further deepened the debate with 6 sessions on sovereignty, governance, cyber warfare, and cybercrime, laying a firm basis for future work. The third meeting in Tokyo in 2018 was especially significant as the Special Rapporteur presented his first substantive report. It examined UN processes, such as the group of governmental experts, and proposed that all member states consider elaborating consensual principles of international law in cyberspace. At the fourth meeting in Hangzhou in 2019, discussions built upon responses from member states to a detailed questionnaire. The meeting addressed international cooperation against cybercrime, data sovereignty and flows, harmful online content, and the peaceful use of cyberspace. It also advanced the idea of preparing a non-binding set of principles, reflecting common ground among member states. The fifth meeting in Bali in 2023 reaffirmed the importance of Asian African perspective and requested the Special Rapporteur to update his draft principles. The sixth meeting in Bangkok in 2024 considered his report, Recent Developments in International Law in Cyberspace, which contained 15 consensual principles and for the first time contained brief reflections on the impact of artificial intelligence, AI. Delegations welcomed the effort, but stressed that the principles should remain non-binding, avoid legally binding language, and remain consistent with the discussions at the UN. Today, at our 7th meeting, we turn to the finalized report of the Special Rapporteur. This report incorporates the comments and observations of member states and consolidates the outcomes of the open-ended working group's work since 2015. It retains the 15 consensual principles while highlighting the importance of addressing the implications of emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, for international law. Excellencies, over the course of 6 meetings, the working group has provided clarity, momentum, and coherence to ALCO's engagement with the subject of international law in cyberspace. It has shown the value of Asian-African cooperation and demonstrated ALCO's ability to contribute meaningfully to global discussions on issues at the cutting edge of cyberspace. I urge all member states to engage actively in today's deliberations so that together we can take an informed decision on how best to carry this important work forward as we conclude this phase of the open-ended working group and decide on its future work. As the open-ended working group is a member state-driven process, it is for the member states to decide on its future course of action. With these remarks, I now have the honor to invite our Special Rapporteur, Professor Hong to present his finalized report. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished delegates, it's a great honor for me to present the report on recent development in the field of international law in cyberspace. I have prepared in my capacity as special rapporteur of the ALCO's working group on international law in cyberspace, following the guidance of the Secretariat, chair of the working group, and member states of the ALCO. Based on the draft report I submitted in August 2024, this updated report aims to summarize and briefly discuss some of the recent development in the field of international law in cyberspace, both within and outside the ALCO, although it should be admitted that it cannot and does not intend to be comprehensive in scope. As all the distinguished delegates should have received a printed copy of the report, you can see, like the draft report of last year, its structure consists of 5 parts. Part 1 provides an overview of the ALCO's engagement with the topic international law in cyberspace. Part 2 introduces the drafting process and the substantive content of the consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace of ALCO and the explanatory note. Part 3 elaborates the progress with regard to international law in cyberspace in various multilateral forums. Part 4 offers a general survey of recent national position statement in which states share their understanding and stance about international law in cyberspace. Part 5 tries to provide some suggestions to the ALCO and its member states based on the previous discussion. As His Excellency Chair of the Working Group just now have already provided a clear summary of ALCO's engagement with the topic international law in cyberspace, I will just skip over the first part and instead start from the second part, namely the consensual basic principle of international law applicable in cyberspace of ALCO and the explanatory note. The origin of the consensual basic principles can be traced to the 8 non-binding, non-exhaustive consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace proposed by His Excellency former Secretary General Professor Kennedy Gaston, pursuant to the mandate of the 4th meeting of the ALCO Open-ended Working Group on International Law in Cyberspace, held in Hangzhou, China in September 2019. On the basis of comments received from the member state and in internal review of the principles, I was asked to help the Secretary General revise the principles in my capacity as a special rapporteur of the working group. The revised draft of July 2021 consisted of 14 carefully and elaborately drafted principles, including an explanatory note containing background information on the relevant principles. Also, based on the very helpful suggestions and comments from the Secretary General, Chair of the Working Group, and the member states of the ALCO in the following years, further revised drafts were submitted to the 5th working group meeting held in Bali, Indonesia in October 2023, and the 6th working group meeting held in Bangkok, Thailand in September 2024, respectively, to respect the international discussions relating to this topic in the past 2 years, including the deliberations within the United Nations, the ECHO, and other relevant international organizations. Just for example, in view of the rapid development of new and emerging technologies in cyberspace, the revised draft of August 2024 added a new principle on the peaceful use of new and emerging technologies, especially the application of artificial intelligence in cyberspace. In preparation for today's working group meeting, the consensual basic principles were again revised. In particular, all the use of the term shall in the consensual basic principles were replaced with may or should to indicate the non-binding nature of the consensual basic principles. Overall, the 15 basic principles outlined in the most recently revised draft primarily address fundamentals of international law, such as state sovereignty, non-intervention, peaceful settlement of disputes, etc., as mentioned by His Excellency Secretary General just now. And also issues such as state responsibility, due diligence, regulation of harmful content, protection of critical infrastructure, ICT supply chain, integrity, transboundary data flow, bridging the digital divide, international cooperation in combating cybercrime, the formulation of international digital trade rules, and the peaceful use of new emerging technologies in cyberspace. It's hoped that those 15 basic principles, after continuous revisions and updates, are now in a better position to strike a proper balance between the need to reflect international consensus from other forums, particularly discussions within the United Nations on the one hand, and the desire to make unique contributions from the perspectives of Asian and African countries. Turning to the third part on progress in various multilateral forums, it mainly focuses on the following 3 forums within the framework of the UN, which have had a crucial impact on the discussion of international law in cyberspace. First is the UNGGE, which had convened 6 sessions during its operation from 2004 to 2021 and produced 4 consensus reports contributing to international deliberation on international law in cyberspace. While it's true that the UNGGE served as the most important international forum for discussing international law in cyberspace before it finished its mandate in 2021, it did not continue to operate since that year, and hence there's no further update in the report of this year. Second is the UNGGE, which was established for the purpose of allowing a wider range of states to participate directly in the discussion of international law in cyberspace. To date, 2 OEWGs have been established by the UN General Assembly. The 2019 to 2021 OEWG, which coexisted with the last and the sixth UNGG, and the 2021 to 2025 OEWG, which operated without the UNGG. Here I will simply highlight one very important development. That is, following 11 substantive sessions, the second, or the 2021 to 2025 OEWG adopted its final report by consensus in July 2025. That is this year, 2 months ago, which reflect three key areas of consensus and progress concerning the application of international law in cyberspace, outlines three forward-looking recommendations, and also establishes by consensus a future single-track permanent mechanism to continue its work. Those developments were the focus of update in my report this year. But in the interest of time, I won't elaborate too much on this. The third is the ad hoc committee to negotiate a global convention against cybercrime. As was already mentioned in my report submitted last year, the draft text of the United Nations Convention against Cybercrime was unanimously adopted on 8 August 2024. Further updates were reflected in this year's report, mainly the unanimous adoption of the Convention by the UN General Assembly on 24th December of 2024. As many of you know, the Convention will be open to all states for signature in Hanoi, Vietnam, 25th to 26th October this year until 31st December 2026, and will enter into force after being ratified by 40 member states. It's fair to say that the adoption of the Convention marks a major breakthrough in combating cybercrime at the global level. Thus, in order to solidify the valuable outcomes achieved through numerous negotiations, it's recommended that all states should consider signing and ratifying this new UN Cybercrime Convention at the earliest convenience. The fourth part of the draft report is national position statement on international law in cyberspace, which discusses the notable phenomenon that in recent years, more and more states have begun to issue their own position papers on international law in cyberspace through written documents or speeches by senior officials. The report this year included latest development in this regard by the end of July this year, including the release of 5 more national or common positions from EU, Colombia, New Zealand, and 2 member states of ACO, Korea and Thailand, in the previous year. This new development makes the total number of national or common positions increased to 44 from 39 of last year. Among them, 42 have been presented by individual states, with the exceptions of the common African position and a common position of the European Union, respectively. More specifically, most of the individual national positions were released by developed countries, while only a few are from developing countries. In total, 23 ACOR member states have issued their position papers either individually or as participants of the common African position. I just would like, so looking ahead, it is noticeable that national position statement will continue to proliferate in the years to come and will continue to be an important form of national participation in international rulemaking in cyberspace. The fifth and the last part of the draft report is suggestions for ACOR and its member states. In view of the current situation and the recent development in the field of international law in cyberspace discussed above, 6 suggestions are made to the ACOR and its member states. The first 5 suggestions remained basically the same as the last year. That is, first, greater focus on international law in cyberspace. Second, accelerating discussion on the consensual basic principles and the explanatory note. Third, enhancing engagement in multilateral forums. Fourth, promoting release of national position statement. And fifth, strengthening capacity building. And these were basically the same suggestions as proposed last year. I will not elaborate. The only newly added suggestion is the 6th. That is, initiating discussion on principles of international law in terms of artificial intelligence. So, no doubt, artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping global governance and international security, raising complex and novel legal questions under existing international law. In light of increasing convergence between AI technologies and the ICT environment, it could be both timely and appropriate for the ACOR OEWG on international law in cyberspace to expand its mandate to include discussions on AI. This would ensure a coherent approach to emerging technologies and safeguard the interests of Asian and African states in shaping future international rules and norms. So, in conclusion, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the ACOR Secretariat for the support for prepare this report and the comment from the chair of the working group, as well as those from all the member states. Those comments will be most sincerely welcomed. In the meantime, it's my sincere hope that the open-ended working group on international law in cyberspace of ACOR will continue to play a key role in the international deliberation on international law in cyberspace for the interest of all ACOR member states. Thank you.
I thank the Special Rapporteur for his detailed, comprehensive report, and I now open the floor for the Member States to furnish us with their inputs, remarks, and to shed light on the future work of the working group. In my list, I have first Japan, to be followed by Socialist Republic of Vietnam and Malaysia. Japan, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. President, as have been confirmed repeatedly in the past UNGGE and OEWG reports, existing international law, including the UN Charter, is applicable to cyberspace. Going forward, Japan believes it is important to deepen the discussion on how international law applies to cyber operations, such as application of state responsibility, violation of sovereignty, due diligence, international humanitarian law, etc. With regard to this point, if more states make their basic positions regarding international law applicable to cyber operation public, it will contribute to deepening of a common understanding on how international law applies to cyber operations. Thus, we call on each state to make its national position public. Mr. President, Japan believes that the discussion of international law applied in cyberspace should be in line with the discussion in the UNGGE OEWG. In particular, the UNGGE OEWG have conducted balanced discussion on the relationship between control based on the territorial sovereignty and freedom of data flow. The discussion in the article should not be excessively biased in one direction. The late draft of the consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace of article seems to place too much emphasis on the importance of sovereignty. There is a large discrepancy from the discussions in the UNGGE OEWG. In addition, as pointed out by delegation from Japan and other countries at previous annual sessions, legally binding terms such as agree should not be used. We consider that the article should take time to discuss closely and carefully among article members and observers rather than jumping to conclusion in a hasty manner. Thank you very much.
I thank the distinguished representative of Japan, and I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Socialist Republic of Vietnam, to be followed by Malaysia. Vietnam, you have the floor.
Mr. President, international cooperation in the governance of cyberspace is essential to foster a peaceful, safe, secure, friendly, open, and human-centered cyberspace at national, regional, and global levels. To respond to the evolving nature of the cyber threats and facilitate effective international cooperation, Vietnam therefore strongly advocates for the continued development of the international legal framework for cyberspace, cybersecurity, and cybercrime within multilateral forums centered on the UN and based on the consensus. We welcome the adoption of the draft United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime, a landmark achievement that establishes the first global treaty for cyberspace and affirms a global approach to combating cybercrime. More importantly, the Convention has recognized the sovereignty of states in cyberspace as a cornerstone for international cooperation. Indeed, this convention will provide a robust foundation for countries to work together against growing cybercrime challenges. Vietnam actively participated in its negotiation and is honored to host the signing ceremony of this convention in Hanoi in October this year. This event is not merely ceremonial, but a crucial step to foster dialogue, set best practices, and promote partnerships among all stakeholders. It signifies Vietnam's strong commitment to promoting multilateral cooperation and actively contributing to global efforts against cybercrime. We also support the discussion on international law in cyberspace in mechanisms such as the UN Open-Ended Working Group, OEWG on ICT, and welcome the OEWG unanimous adoption of the draft final report, which includes elements for the establishing a UN global mechanism to discuss ICTs, as well as further development of international law in cyberspace, as well as exploration of new rules governing responsible behavior of states in cyberspace. Vietnam calls for a seamless transition from the OEWG to the new standing global mechanism, continuing to contribute to the discussion on international law in cyberspace in the coming time. Vietnam has been actively participating in the discussion of the ANCO Working Group on the application of international law in cyberspace, and would like to suggest the group to continue to study in depth how the concept of cyber sovereignty, as recognized in the Cybercrime Convention, is applied in the practice of the ANCO member state. Mr. President, in conclusion, Vietnam is determined to promote an open, secure, healthy, stable, accessible, and peaceful global cyberspace. We aim to continue working hand in hand with ANCO member states to strengthen international law and make practical contribution to peace, security, and sustainable development. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, and I now give the floor to distinguished representative of Malaysia, to be followed by China, Iran, and Turkey. Malaysia, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Malaysia wishes to express its appreciation to the Special Rapporteur, Professor Ziziong Wang, for the comprehensive final report on international law in cyberspace, and for the inclusive manner in which the views of member states have been incorporated. Malaysia reaffirms its national position that international law applies fully to cyberspace, including the Charter of the United Nations, international humanitarian law, and international human rights law. In this regard, we underscore the importance of core principles: sovereignty, non-intervention, peaceful settlement of disputes, prohibition of the use of force, and the promotion and protection of human rights as guiding standards for responsible state behavior in the digital domain. Malaysia further supports the establishment of a permanent UN-led single-track mechanism to carry forward the OEWG's work and to advance responsible state behavior in the use of ICTs. It is essential that this mechanism remains inclusive, transparent, and reflective of the voices of developing countries, in order to avoid fragmentation and ensure a balanced and equitable international legal order. We also emphasize the need for capacity-building initiatives to enable developing states to participate effectively in global cyber governance. In this regard, Malaysia highlights the role of regional cooperation through ASEAN, including the ASEAN Computer Emergency Response Team, CERT, as a valuable platform for enhancing threat intelligence sharing, strengthening incident response, and fostering resilience against cyber threats. Finally, Malaysia welcomes the consideration of new and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, within the framework of international law. It is imperative that their peaceful use be promoted while safeguarding sovereignty, security, and human rights. Mr. Chairman, Malaysia stands ready to continue engaging constructively with all ALCO member states and partners in shaping a secure, stable, and inclusive cyberspace. We note the final report of the Special Rapporteur with appreciation, and we affirm our support for its adoption under the leadership of the Chair. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Malaysia, and I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of People's Republic of China. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. China would like to extend its gratitude and appreciation to the Secretary General in facilitating this meeting. We also express our deep appreciation to the Chair, the Special Rapporteur, and all participants of the open-ended working group for the hard work and fruitful outcome in the past decade. Mr. Chairman, China appreciates the Special Rapporteur's updates on the consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace and the explanatory note annexed to the report. China believes that the consensual basic principle touches on issues including management of cross-border data flow, digital trade, international cooperation in cyberspace, and the combat against the cybercrimes, and would be helpful in the field of global cyberspace governance. By reflecting the common concerns of the Asian and African countries on international rules in cyberspace, the consensual basic principles can be conducive to maintaining peace and security, as well as promoting common development in the field of cyberspace. China greatly values the unique platform ACO offers and aspires to the formation of a strong common voice of Asian and African states in the sphere of global cyberspace governance. In this regard, China suggests that ACO adopts the consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace at the 64th annual session of ACO in the year of 2026. To this end, we suggest the Secretariat prepares a draft resolution on the basis of the report of the working group. We also suggest all member states provide their input to the consensual basic principles, which should be reflected in the draft resolution for adoption the next year. Mr. Chairman, the Special Rapporteur has suggested in his report that ACO and its member states initiate discussions on how core principles of international law apply in the context of artificial intelligence within the open-ended working group. China believes that AI is closely linked to the use of the internet and cyberspace. Their synergy has profoundly changed and impacted the ways we all live and work. The development and use of AI raise new questions on the interpretation and application of international law. We can all ensure that AI would benefit humanity by working on and improving global AI governance. China supports and encourages the open-ended working group in furthering its studies on AI from both the legal and the practical aspects, thereby pooling the wisdom of Asian and African states for our common benefit and for the improvement of global AI governance. In order to facilitate the open-ended working group in its studies on the regulations and the use of AI, and to keep the momentum going, China suggests ACO decides on inviting all member states in submitting their documents and the papers on their respective domestic laws, regulations, policies, and the practices on the regulation and use of AI by the end of first half of the year 2026. China would also seek the kind of support of the Special Rapporteur in furthering his studies on the issue of AI. China further suggests the Secretariat of ACO compiles the above-mentioned information and materials to be submitted by ACO member states and the Special Rapporteur for its onward transmission for the working group's consideration. The working group could then deliberate and proceed with the work on the issue of AI in the next annual session in 2026. In conclusion, with the timely support of all ACO member states in this initiative, Asia and African states can play a more active role in this crucial matter on AI, which is relevant to ACO member states and beyond. We would be obliged for member states' consideration for China's suggestions, including the adoption of consensual basic principles at the next annual session of ACO with the input from member states and the working group's further studies on the issue of AI. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the distinguished representative of People's Republic of China, and I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. In the beginning, allow me to thank you and the Special Rapporteur of the Open-Ended Working Group on International Law in Cyberspace. The Islamic Republic of Iran has been eagerly following the work of the working group and considers it a convenient platform for the member states to exchange views in a legal context. Information, communication, and technology, the ICTs, has become an integral part of global communication, business, and governance, offering numerous opportunities while at the same time introducing evolving threats. Addressing these requires a multifaceted approach encompassing technological, legal, and cooperative strategies. The primary responsibility for maintaining secure, safe, and trustworthy ICT rests with individual states. States must act responsibly and in accordance with international law. The prominent role and active involvement of states in the ICT environment governance at the global level, especially in terms of policy and decision-making, must be enhanced and ensured. ICT governance should be developed in a manner that does not adversely affect the rights of states to determine their own development, governance, and legislation concerning the ICT environment. The work of the Open-Ended Working Group concerning the Special Rapporteur's report on recent developments in international law in cyberspace, the relevant draft consensual principles, as well as the comments and observations of member states in this regard, constituted a useful exercise by the ALCO. Principles of international law as enshrined in the UN Charter continue to apply in any domains, including cyberspace. Regardless of various interpretations, this was confirmed by the work of the working group, as well as comments and observations by member states. As the way forward, as also referred to by the delegations of Malaysia and China as regards the importance of artificial intelligence, introduction of artificial intelligence in recent years has provided governments and citizens worldwide with unique opportunities. However, it is of urgent importance to compile relevant state practice as concerns laws and regulations. The developments in this field are extremely rapid, but policymakers should not get overwhelmed by these rapid changes. On the other hand, we need to learn from each other how to regulate this new realm, what policies to adopt in order to make the best of AI developments, and what adaptations to make. The Open-Ended Working Group has the necessary potentials for sharing best practices and experience of member states at the national level in terms of laws and regulations and policymaking on AI. While we are flexible with the format and timing, we are prepared to extend any cooperation and assistance in this regard. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Turkey. You have the floor, sir.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Turkey welcomes the development of the consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace. We view these principles as valuable contribution to fostering shared understanding while reflecting the perspectives of Asian and African states. Taking into consideration the opportunities and threats arising from the developments in information and communication technologies, Turkey fully supports an international order based on international law that promotes an open, secure, robust, effective, resilient, stable, accessible, and peaceful ICT environment. Mr. President, Turkey believes that these discussions will contribute to develop norms and principles of the responsible state behavior in cyberspace in international law and considers it as a fundamental element for establishing the framework of the responsible state behavior in cyberspace, including their cyber activities, which is the most important precondition for maintaining international peace and security. Given these considerations, I would like to extend our gratitude to the Secretariat, members of the working group, and the Special Rapporteur for his valuable report on recent developments in the field of international law in cyberspace, and briefly share Turkey's views under the following headings. On the prospect of new global instruments, we note that the idea of a binding UN instrument in this field has been raised. For Turkey, any such instruments must not contradict existing regional commitments and, above all, must not include provisions that would limit our national jurisdiction. This principle must be clearly recorded. On the question of non-militarization, we take note of the call for states to jointly strive for the non-militarization of cyberspace. Turkey underscores its opposition to the misuse of ICTs for hostile or offensive purposes. At the same time, we also underline that every state has the sovereign right to develop the necessary defensive capacities to safeguard its national security. It's therefore important that this principle not be interpreted in a manner that could constrain legitimate defensive measures. On state responsibility and capacity differences, we agree that states should not knowingly allow their territory to be used for malicious cyber operations. Yet, in many developing countries, harmful traffic may transit without detection due to technical limitations. The application of this principle must therefore take into account differences in national capacity and accompanied by robust international cooperation and assistance. Turkey also attaches importance to supply chain security, data governance, and bridging the digital divide. In this regard, we welcome the ALCO report's strong emphasis on capacity building and international cooperation. Turkey wishes to express its appreciation for the report's clear recognition that while transparency and inclusiveness are important, the intergovernmental nature of this process must remain paramount. We share this perspective. Multi-stakeholder engagement can indeed bring value, but participation must follow established UN procedures and the principles of non-objection, thereby ensuring that the central role of states is fully preserved. Consequently, Turkey remains committed to contributing constructively to ALCO's work. Our shared goal must be to ensure that international law is applied in cyberspace in a manner that safeguards sovereignty, strengthens security, and supports sustainable development. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Distinguished Representative of Turkey. Now I give the floor to the Distinguished Representative of the Republic of Korea. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. The Republic of Korea appreciates the work of the open-ended working group on international law in cyberspace. Our delegation reiterates its position that existing international law, including the UN Charter in its entirety, is applicable to cyberspace. We believe that the discussions should focus on the specific application of existing law rather than on creating a new convention. In this regard, we will take the OWG report back to the other concerned ministries and agencies to review it for better and more constructive opinions. We hope that our discussions can lead to an outcome that is in line with the consensus of international community. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Republic of Korea, and it seems that we have no more requests for the floor at this juncture. I thank all of you for your very fruitful inputs, which I'm confident that will guarantee the future work of the working group. And also it helped to echo the ALCO perspective at the global level on this very important topic. Based on the suggestions that you, the member states, have presented in this meeting, we now have a better understanding on the future work of the working group. Specifically, one idea that was presented regarding the AI, according to which the report of the working group will be updated appropriately. To that end, certainly we count on the assistance of the Secretary General and his capable team to help us to proceed. Since the deliberation of this working group has been now concluded, I now turn to the President to lead us from afterward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair of the Working Group, and we thank you for the work, and we continue to support you and see this through. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, now we move to consider the report of the ALCO Regional Arbitration Centers. So I'll invite the ALCO Secretary to make the introductory remarks on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegate, it is my honor to introduce the agenda item on the report of the ALCO Regional Arbitration Center. This agenda is supported by document ALCO/Kampala/2025/ORG3, which contain the reports of our 6 centers, Kuala Lumpur, Cairo, Lagos, Tehran, Nairobi, and the ALCO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center. For more than 5 decades, ALCO has played a leading role in promoting international commercial arbitration, beginning with its cooperation with UNCITRAL in the late 1960s. Beginning with its cooperation with other institutions, and at that time, there were very few arbitral institutions in Asia and Africa, which often obliged our state and enterprise to turn to distant institutions in Europe and North America. This created an urgent need for regional mechanisms that were accessible, cost-effective, and responsive to developing countries. From the early discussion in Lagos in 1922 and in Tokyo in 1924, member states endorsed the establishment of regional arbitration center, leading to the first center in Kuala Lumpur and Cairo in the late 1970s. Since then, the network has expanded to Lagos, Tehran, Nairobi, and most recently in Hong Kong SAR in 2021. Today, since these 6 centers are recognized for world-class efficient dispute resolution services, expanding beyond arbitration to mediation, conciliation, and even online and hybrid mechanisms. The host highly qualified arbitrators enjoy the strong support for their host governments and remains among the most trusted institutions in our regions. I take this opportunity to warmly congratulate the directors and their host government for the remarkable process achieved, and I encourage all member states to continue supporting this center. They are without one of our most successful endeavors, and they stand as pillars of excellence for the future of dispute resolution in Asia and Africa. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Secretary General. I kindly request all the directors to be mindful of the time of their presentations, which is 7 minutes each. First, now I invite the representative from the Nairobi Center for International Arbitration to kindly present their report. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity to present the work of the Nairobi Center for International Arbitration as it aligns with the mandate of ALCO. As one of the ALCO's 6 regional centers for arbitration, the NCIA is instrumental in fulfilling ALCO's core mandate to promote international commercial arbitration in the Asian African region. Our mission to provide world-class alternative dispute resolution services and promote Nairobi as a preferred seat for international arbitration. Our strategic goals align with ALCO's objectives of capacity building, legal development, and regional cooperation. Our caseload for the financial year ending 2025, June 2025 is as follows. 13 new cases were referred to the center, and this is the highest number registered since inception. Of these 13 new cases, 46.2% were registered under the NCIA arbitration rules, and 38.5% were registered under the NCIA mediation rules. 15.3% were only for adjudicator and arbitrator appointments. The sum in dispute for the 13 cases was 4.7 billion Kenya shillings, which translates to 36 million US dollars. Cumulatively, the center has handled a caseload value of 37.7 billion Kenya shillings, translating to 292.2 million US dollars. Geographically, all the disputes that were handled at the center were domestic disputes. Reflecting on the sectoral analysis and the economic priorities driving arbitration within the center, we had construction sector, we had supplies and delivery, agriculture, commercial, technology, finance, and education. For the financial year ended June 2025, the top 3 sectors of disputes that were handled by the centers were 58% on supplies of commodities, 17% under construction industry, and 25% under service contracts. On regional leadership and diversity, our panel of neutrals for arbitrator nationalities, 75% of the arbitrators were Kenyan, while 10% were from the United Kingdom, 3% from Nigeria, 3% from the United States of America, 3% from Ireland, 3% from Pakistan, 2% from India, and 1% from other countries. In terms of gender diversity, for arbitrators, we had 22% comprising of female arbitrators and the rest of male arbitrators. For the mediator nationalities, all of them were Kenyan, with 25% comprising of female mediators. On the caseload that we handled on mediation cases, the value was worth 5.8 billion, which 5.8 billion Kenyan shillings, which sums up to $50 million US. In terms of innovation and thought leadership, in March 2025, the Center organized and hosted the second Nairobi Arbitration Week, whose goal was to promote arbitration as a reliable and effective dispute resolution mechanism across Kenya and Africa, showcase Nairobi to users, investments, practitioners, and academics as a regional center for arbitration, foster collaboration and knowledge exchange among domestic and international arbitration professionals, including members of the judiciary, advancing arbitration practices to support African economic growth and development, building capacity among legal practitioners, and enhancing awareness of arbitration. The Center is also proud to have launched the fourth NCIA Journal, which is a key publication for disseminating knowledge and African perspectives on international arbitration. The thematic areas covered in this journal included environment and climate, convergence of technology and ADR, ethical considerations in ADR, protection and promotion of human rights. As part of our mandate to build capacity of young and upcoming practitioners, the Center also held a moot competition that targeted 16 universities in Kenya, where the winning university was African Nazarene University. Of importance note is that the Center signed the Green Action, which is a commitment to sustainable arbitration. And some of the activities that we are doing under this is having virtual hearings, e-submissions and case management platforms as a standard, prioritizing arbitrators who champion green practices, providing green model orders and protocols for all users. And all our conferences follow a strict environmental protocol and training teams for sustainable internal and external communication. As part of compliance to our presidential directive and the Green Action, we also participated in tree planting to improve our tree cover. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Nairobi Center for International Arbitration. I now invite the representative from ALCO Hong Kong Arbitration Center to make their report.
Secretary General Dr. Kamalin Pinipuvado, Your Excellency, Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. On behalf of the ALCO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center, it is my great privilege to address this esteemed assembly. May I begin by extending our deepest gratitude to the government of the Republic of Uganda for their exceptional hospitality in hosting this 63rd annual section in the beautiful city of Canberra. I wish to convey our profound, I wish to convey to our profound appreciation to our Secretary General, His Excellency Dr. Kamalini Pinipuvado, for his visionary leadership and steadfast support and guidance. His unwavering support has been instrumental to our center's development. We particularly honor by his personal presence at our International Arbitration Masterclass in Hong Kong this July, where his keynote speech remarks inspired senior leading practitioners from across the region. Distinguished delegates, Hong Kong's status as a leading dispute resolution hub is underpinned by a robust legal framework in Hong Kong, deeply rooted in the common law system and tradition, and fortified by a modern arbitration ordinance. The presence of ELCO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center as the first arbitration institution established in Hong Kong by an international organization has significantly enhanced this ecosystem. Our unique status as an international organization provides a neutral, credible platform for dispute resolution that enjoys the full confidence of the parties across Asia, Africa, and beyond. This framework is powerfully upheld by the excellent effort of Hong Kong Department of Justice. Their commitment to rule of law, their unparalleled support to the law-related international organizations are truly commendable. This supportive environment has been fundamental to our operational success too. Guided by our founding agreement between ELCO and China, ELCO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center has laid down a solid foundation to provide full-spectrum dispute resolution services, which include arbitration, adjudication, mediation, and many sector-based dispute resolution schemes, including the recent sport dispute resolution in Hong Kong. Our reports submitted to the Secretariat highlight our progress in several key aspects. First, on the international front, we have significantly advanced transnational coordination through delivering a dedicated mission trip to Africa, which comprised more than 20 leaders, senior delegates in legal and economic sectors from Hong Kong and the neighbor regions, and actively participating in several events, many events across the region. We have been building vital bridge with our sister centers in Cairo, Nairobi, and Kuala Lumpur, and engaging directly with member states to foster deeper collaboration. Secondly, our work in specialized ADR is directly serving the new economy. We are spearheading in innovative dispute resolution to meet the complex demand of modern industry, a commitment that clearly reflected in a rising volume of inquiry and cases we have handled. We are now actively handling matters and providing tailor-made services in key growth sectors such as sports industry, intellectual property dispute resolution, and construction adjudication through mediation, adjudication, and domain name dispute resolution mechanism. Moreover, capacity building remains as a core cornerstone of our mission. We are dedicated to cultivating the next generation of dispute resolution professionals in Asia and Africa. We actively support the China ELCO Exchange and Research Program on International Law. We also hosted many practical international arbitration masterclass, adjudication training, and intimate fireside chats. These efforts ensure a skilled and vibrant community of dispute resolution practitioners for the future. We now maintain a diverse panel of over 300 neutrals from more than 35 jurisdictions. Most of them are from ELCO member states, ensuring culturally aware resolution across all service areas. So, Your Excellency, distinguished delegates, the achievement of the past year would not have been possible without the guidance of our Secretary General, His Excellency Dr. Cameron Pinipuvado, and the Secretariat's support of our hosting country and the People's Republic of China, and the dedicated partnership of the Hong Kong Department of Justice. With this solid foundation beneath us, ELCO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center is poised for its next chapter. We are particularly excited about the future establishment of International Arbitration for Mediation, IOMED, in Hong Kong. We pledge our full support to IOMED and look forward to exploring strong collaborative opportunity to strengthen the global dispute resolution landscape together. We reaffirm our commitment to promoting arbitration and ADR as a peaceful means of dispute resolution. We will continue to work in close collaboration with all ALCO member states and our sister centers to advance our shared goals and achieve another level of success for the ALCO dispute resolution system. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hong Kong Arbitration Center. I'll now invite a representative from the Cairo Regional Center for International Arbitration to make their report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Secretary General, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Tariq Badawi. I'm a partner in private practice, arbitrator, and member of the Cairo Regional Center for International Commercial Arbitration's Advisory Board. As rightly indicated by the Honorable Secretary General today, CERSICA was established in 1979 in Cairo under the auspices of ALCO. I'm facing challenges with the kicker, yes. The director, Dr. Ismail Salim, unfortunately he could not make it today and had requested me to come and give the presentation on his behalf. The center, or the director, is assisted by members of the Board of Trustees, who the board comprises of citizens, mostly citizens of ALCO. About 80% of the Board of Trustees are citizens of ALCO. It comprises of former ministers of foreign affairs, professors, ICJ judges, and eminent statesmen. The Board of Trustees works in conjunction with the advisory board that assists the center with matters such as designing policies and ruling on claims of conflict of interest against arbitrators and challenges to impartiality. Now, the center has received various accolades in the very recent past. For example, it was endorsed by institutions such as the African Development Bank, which had recommended CERSICA and commended it for aligning its procedures with the highest international standards. It's also featured in the Global Arbitration Review Guide to International Arbitration, and has been recognized for its performance throughout the years. And the latest piece of news, it has been recognized by the Russian Ministry of Justice as the 5th institution under its domestic laws recognized as a permanent arbitration institution, joining the ranks of the ICC, the Singapore International Arbitration Center, Hong Kong, and Vienna. It is the first in Africa and the Arab world to receive this recognition. Now, with respect to certain statistics, In 2003, the case registered 53 new cases, which include 22 non-Egyptian parties and 14 non-Egyptian arbitrators. In 2024, it registered 76 new cases, including 11 ad hoc proceedings, so not governed by the Corsica rules, however administered by Corsica. 20 of those cases included multiple parties, 22 non-Egyptian parties, and 15 non-Egyptian arbitrators. Now, the nationalities of the non-Egyptian arbitrators include many citizens of ALCO states, such as China, Iran, Lebanon, and Egypt. Now, the average value, and finally in 2025, until half the year, 50 new cases were registered, so there's a noticeable significant increase, including 2 cases that are subject to, that are seated outside of Egypt, notably in Abu Dhabi and New York. Now, the average value of cases presented before at Corsica, in 2024, it was around $3 million, which was a slight decrease from 2023, which was largely due to the devaluation that took place. However, in 2025, there is a significant increase in the first quarter compared to 2024, where the average sum in dispute is $4 million, and the total sum in dispute was $71 million just in the first quarter of 2025, which signifies nearly a 200% increase compared to the previous year. Now, with respect to the types of disputes, unlike many jurisdictions in the Middle East, where they're predominantly construction law-based disputes, the retail sector comprised 22% of the total value of cases, which was followed by real estate development, and then construction only at 10%, followed by tourism, hospitality at 6%, and the regular commercial disputes, sale of goods, healthcare, etc., at 5% each. Now, what distinguishes Corsica from various centers is that it actually administers disputes against states and state-owned companies. It has administered disputes against entities owned by the Egyptian, Libyan, Sudanese, Moroccan, UAE, and Yemeni government entities and ministries. And it's also chosen as the arbitration centers in many bilateral investment treaties involving not only Egypt, but also Morocco and Libya. Now, the latest developments, which I believe is probably the most important point to conclude with, is that in addition to its mediation rules, so the center is not only engaged in arbitration, it has its own mediation rules, but in addition to that as well, it has its own dispute board rules that govern construction disputes. But in January 2024, the arbitration rules were amended, introducing concepts such as consolidation of arbitrations, emergency arbitration, and in fact, in 2025, there was one case registered under the emergency arbitration scheme in which the arbitrator was appointed within 24 hours and the decision issued within 17 days of the arbitrator's appointment, and that includes holidays and weekends as well. There are provisions for expedited proceedings. The fee schedule was amended to compensate arbitrators fairly for the work that they do. And keeping up with modern times, there are provisions for online filing and virtual arbitration to accommodate the parties in a post-COVID world. With this, I will conclude, but I'll be very happy to answer any questions following this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the representatives from the 3 arbitration centers associated with ALCO. Thank you very much for the report. Thank you very much for the good work that you are doing. I'll now open the floor to statements. I've got on my list the People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. China would like to express appreciation for the reports on the ECO's regional arbitration centers and commend their excellent work and efforts in facilitating peaceful resolution of international disputes. In particular, we note the significant progress made by the ECO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center, which is the most recently established regional arbitration center of ECO, and its invaluable contribution in promoting the growth and effective functioning of alternative dispute resolution. We encourage the ECO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center to continue to make good use of the unique strengths of Hong Kong NCR as the only common law jurisdiction within China and a leading international legal and dispute resolution service center in Asia Pacific. We will continue to support the work of all the ECO arbitration centers and look forward to more events, capacity building, and other initiatives by the regional arbitration centers for ECO member states and beyond. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, the distinguished relative from the People's Republic of China. I don't know whether we have any other interventions from the floor. That's all I had on my list. Okay. Thank you. Okay. United Republic of Tanzania, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. The United Republic of Tanzania recognizes the significant role on ALCO regional arbitration centers in promoting alternative dispute resolution mechanism across Asia and Africa, fostering the access to justice and facilitating the resolution of commercial and investment dispute in a fair, efficient, and cost-effective manner. As a member of ALCO, Tanzania is committed to support the objective of these centers, which align with international and regional effort to enhance trade, investment, and economic cooperation. The United Republic of Tanzania is a signatory to the key international instruments that promote arbitration as alternative method of resolving dispute, including the 1958 New York Convention on Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitration Award, and the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, Model Law on International Commercial Arbitration. These frameworks underscore the importance of arbitration in providing the neutral and binding mechanism for dispute resolution, which ensuring legal certainty in a cross-border transaction. At the regional level, Tanzania is a member of the African Union, South Africa Development Community, and East African Community, all which emphasize the development of healthy legal framework for dispute resolution to support the economic integration. In East Africa region, there are arbitration centers in Nairobi, which serve the country within the region. Mr. President, in compliance with this, its international and regional commitment, Tanzania has established the Principal Registration Arbitration Act, K15, which governs domestic and international arbitration proceeding as well as the enforcement of arbitral award. In addition, the United Republic of Tanzania, through the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs, mandated under the Civil Code to accredited arbitration institution. Currently, the Minister has accredited several arbitration institutions, including the National Construction Council, the Tanzania Institution Arbitrators, Tanzania International Arbitration Center, and iResolve, which promote arbitration and providing training for arbitrators and trainers. This effort ensures that Tanzania remains in a conducive for arbitration, contribution to the resolution of dispute in the manner that supports economic growth and investor confidence. United Republic of Tanzania acknowledges the critical role of ALCO Regional Arbitration Center in capacity building, knowledge sharing, and promoting of the best practice in arbitration. This center includes those in Cairo, Nairobi, and Hong Kong. In addition, Tanzania supports the ongoing initiative by ALCO to strengthening the operational efficiency of these centers, including the adoption of the model law, the use of technology in dispute resolution, and promotion of inclusivity to address the need of small and medium enterprises. We believe that this effort will improve the credibility and accessibility of arbitration as a viable alternative to litigation. We believe that the discussion of 63rd annual session of ALCO will further strengthen collaboration among the member states, facilitate the exchange of experience, and address the challenges in the effective operation of these centers. The centers' work in connecting knowledge gap and harmonizing arbitration practices will contribute to the development of a strong, equitable dispute resolution framework. Mr. President, in a conclusion, the United Republic of Tanzania praises ALCO's continued effort in sustaining and expanding impact of the Regional Arbitration Center and look forward for the constructive discussion at this session. Thank you, Asante Sana.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from the United Republic of Tanzania. Do we have any other interventions from the floor? Okay. So thank you very much. We shall continue to have this conversation on the arbitration centers, and Cairo, Nairobi, and Hong Kong, thank you for the work you do. We remain available to support you in any way possible. And at least from the interventions that we have had from members, everyone, and I think which is the report of the subcommittee in review of scale of assessed contribution. We have the chair of the subcommittee, President among us, American United Chair, the Republic of the Philippines, to kindly come on the stage and present the report to the meeting.
Mr. President, distinguished delegates, I have the pleasure of presenting before you the draft report of the subcommittee on the review scale of assessed contribution of member states to your enforcement. The subcommittee on the review scale of assessed contribution of member states was established on the 15th of February 2023 based on the mandate received during the 60th annual session of ALCO in New Delhi, Republic of India in 2022. I'm pleased to inform you that the work of this subcommittee is proceeding in a satisfactory manner, and we are engaging with ALCO members to solicit all key points on how to review the scale of assessed contributions of member states in the most appropriate manner acceptable to all. As you are aware, this is a consensual, member state-driven process, and we have so far completed 5 meetings from 2023 to 2024 and 6 meetings from 2024 to 2025. In addition to the 2 revised options reported to the 62nd annual session last year, a 3rd option has been presented by a member state for deliberation during the last 2 meetings of the subcommittee. The subcommittee has also considered a proposal for setting a transition period for introducing the new scale, namely a period of 3 years, which will allow member states to gradually adjust to the new scale. The proposal of setting a transition period has gained emerging support from the liaison officers to ALCO. This year, the subcommittee seeks the mandate of the plenary to continue our work in the coming year, in particular on the consideration of the 3 options. We respectfully request the endorsement of the plenary for the introduction of a transition period 2027 to 2029, applicable to whichever option may ultimately be adopted due to the budgetary cycles of some of the member states. In closing, I request the continued support and cooperation of member states for the progress of the mandate of this subcommittee. I also take this occasion to express my gratitude to all the liaison officers of ALCO member states based in New Delhi for actively participating in this process, as well as to the members of the Secretariat who have facilitated the work of the subcommittee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Chair of the committee. I will now open the floor for any comments from member states on the report of the subcommittee. And the list of speakers, I have Japan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Japan would like to take this opportunity to commend the ALCO Secretariat for the tireless effort to support the work of the subcommittee on the scale of assessed contribution. We would also like to express our sincere gratitude to Ms. Melissa Ann Teran, Chairperson of the Subcommittee on the Scale of Assessed Contribution, for her leadership and hard work to lead its intensive discussions in New Delhi. Japan supports the draft report, which will be presented later. It is evident that current scale based on the scales of UN assessed contribution 2007-2009 is outdated. It's high time for the member states to update the scale of assessed contributions to improve the accountability of the ALCO and to support its activities. Japan hopes to see the consensus among member states for new scale of assessed contribution in the next annual session. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from Japan. Are there any other interventions? Okay. So there being no other interventions, I think it speaks very well to your work. Thank you very much for the work, and we continue to see this through. Okay, now we will move to the next item on the agenda, which is the report of the chairperson of the drafting committee. I request the chairperson of the drafting committee to make their way. Ladies and gentlemen, the drafting committee was constituted by us on the first day of the annual session to prepare a summary report and finalize the Secretariat draft resolutions on the organization, administrative, and financial matters. I will now call upon the distinguished chairperson of the drafting committee, who is Ms. Elizabeth Nakungu, who is a commissioner in the Ministry of Justice of the Republic of Uganda, to give us her report. Thank you very much, distinguished chair. You're welcome.
Mr. President, the Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my privilege to present to the plenary the report on the work and accomplishments of the drafting committee. As the chairman has stated, this drafting committee was constituted on the first day of the annual session, which was 8th September 2025. And in accordance with ALCO tradition, a representative of the host government chairs the committee, and I have had the honor to serve as the chairperson of the committee. Other members of the drafting committee were delegations from the People's Republic of China, Japan, Kingdom of Thailand, Islamic Republic of Iran, Republic of Uganda, and the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The committee was tasked to prepare and finalize the provisional summary report and draft the resolutions for the consideration of the plenary with the assistance of the ALCO Secretariat. The committee convened daily in the evenings from 8th to 11th September following plenary deliberations, and this morning to prepare the report. Discussions in the committee were conducted with a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect, and I wish to express my profound gratitude to all the members of the committee. I also wish to express my gratitude and appreciation to all delegates for their constructive participation, and I thank them for the confidence they placed in me to fulfill the role of the chairperson. The committee's work was enriched by the helpful contributions and the flexibility exhibited by all delegations during the discussions. The committee has now prepared a provisional summary report of the 63rd annual session, reflecting the discussion and consensus views of all delegations on both the organizational and substantive matters. As a result of the meetings of the drafting committee, the following documents have been prepared, which are to be presented by the Secretary General shortly to the plenary. We have a provisional summary report, and we have draft resolutions on organizational matters. These are 5. The first one is a report on the Secretary General on administrative and organizational matters. We have a resolution on the budget for the year 2026. And there's a resolution on the report on the regional arbitration centers, which has just been discussed. And there's a resolution on reappointment of the Secretary General, and then the draft report on the subcommittee on the revision of scale of assessed contributions. The committee has also prepared a message of thanks on behalf of ALCO member states to the host government, which is the Republic of Uganda, and this will be delivered by the Secretary General. Mr. President, the preparation of the daily drafts and documentation by the Secretariat was invaluable to the committee's progress. And for this matter, I wish to extend sincere gratitude to the members of the drafting committee and the Secretariat for their dedicated support and professionalism throughout the exercise. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for your report. We appreciate the work and we thank you. Thank you very much. Colleagues, I'm going to request your indulgence to allow me to do something which is quite unusual. But since we are a family of friends as ALCO members, you're going to allow me to do that. I'm going to step back to the report on the subcommittee on review of scale of assessed contributions. As a member, would like to have an intervention at this point. So let the record show that this was done before we presented the other report. Okay, so the distinguished delegate from Malaysia, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Malaysia wishes to express its appreciation to the chair of the subcommittee of the scale of assessed contributions. Malaysia attaches great importance to this process as the financial stability of ALCO is vital to the continued fulfillment of its mandate. Malaysia notes with appreciation the application of the United Nations' most recent scale of assessments under General Assembly Resolution 79/249, adopted on 24 December 2024,
to the proposed revised ALCO formulas. In this regard, Malaysia takes note of revised option 1 based on the 10-year UN average and revised option 2 based on the most recent UN scale of assessments. Malaysia reaffirms its preference for revised option 2. This option provides transparency, predictability, and alignment with established international practice by relying on the most recent UN scale of assessments. We view this as the most viable and sustainable basis for determining the contributions of member states. On the circulation of the third option, based on the combined gross national income and per capita gross national income formula, Malaysia recognizes the constructive spirit behind this option. Nevertheless, the lack of clarity on the methodology renders the formula less clearly defined and not expressly anchored in the Secretariat's established approaches. In our view, this creates ambiguity regarding its long-term application, including with respect to sustainability and equitable distribution among member states. With regard to the implementation of the new scale, we note the Secretariat's revised proposal for a transition period spanning 2027 to 2029, with 2026 designated as a preparatory year. Malaysia views this phased approach as useful in providing stability and allowing member states to adjust their national budgetary planning. In conclusion, Mr. President, Malaysia urges member states to work towards consensus on a formula that balances equity, transparency, and sustainability. We remain committed to constructive engagement with the Secretariat together with the member states and reaffirm our support for the revised option 2 as the preferred option, while remaining open to the phased implementation of the transition period. I'm much obliged. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from Malaysia. We appreciate your intervention. Okay, now that we have just finished that session, now we have quickly gone through the presentation of the report of the drafting committee. Now I think it is a good time for us to take a break. We shall take a break at this time and resume the session at 11:30. At that session, observers and observers are welcome to join us during that session. Oh, People's Republic of China, you have an intervention?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. Yeah, sorry to take the floor right before the tea break. I just wish to seek your clarification because we just heard the chair to give us a brief introduction about the work of drafting committee in relation to the preliminary provisional summary report for the session of the ALCO. So I was wondering, after the tea break, do the member states have a chance to take the floor to express its comments and suggestions about the provisional summary report? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from China. Yes, the Secretary General is going to go through all those. What the committee was informing us is that they have got all these documents ready, and I think they've been circulated. And so members will have an opportunity to make comments as we get along before we go into the actual adoption of those documents. Okay, thank you very much. So we take a break, 11:30, we reconvene and proceed with the rest of the proceedings. Thank you. To join the session. First and foremost, we will have the following items to be considered: the adoption of a message of thanks to the host government, adoption of resolutions on organizational, administrative, and financial matters, venue of ALCO's 64th annual session, adoption of summary report of the session, vote of thanks by Asian member states, vote of thanks by African member states, vote of thanks by observer states, vote of thanks by observer international organizations, and closing remarks by the President of the 62nd session of the annual session of ALCO. So now I will now request, first and foremost, a message of thanks to the host government on behalf of the participating delegation shall be read out by Dr. Kamalin, the Secretary General. Secretary General, you have the floor.
We, the member state of the Asian African Legal Consultative Organization, ALCO, express our profound appreciation to the governments of the Republic of Uganda for their exceptional warmth, generosity, and unparalleled hospitality we have experienced throughout our time here in Kampala. As the ALCO's annual session returned to Kampala for a second time, we, the delegates of the 63rd annual session, wish to place on record our sincere thanks for the full cooperation and support extended by the governments of the Republic of Uganda. From the very beginning, the unwavering commitment of the host country to ensure the success of this session has been evident. We extend our heartfelt thanks to His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, for honoring our session as the chief guest, and to the Right Honorable Anita Annette Amang, the Speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, for delivering the President's inaugural address that set the tone for the annual session. We are also grateful to the Honorable Kiriyowa Kiwanuka, Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda and President of the 63rd annual session, for his steadfast support and exemplary leadership. His efforts have been instrumental in guiding our deliberation and making this gathering a resounding success. Uganda's historical ties to the principle of ALCO are deep-seated, as it was among the first African countries to join our organization. Its contribution to the progressive development of international law and its commitment to legal cooperation are well documented and highly appreciated. We are particularly proud to note the significant role Uganda has played in shaping legal discourse within our organization, including its election as Vice President of the 62nd annual session last year. The 63rd annual session has been robust participation from 27 member states, 1 observer state, and 8 international organizations. This strong show of support underscores the enduring significance of ALCO as a pivotal platform for dialogue and cooperation in international legal issues. Our discussion on the subject topic have been both active and insightful, reflecting our collective commitment to addressing global legal matters through collaboration and shared legal frameworks. Our sincere thanks are also extended to all the government's officials and staff members who have worked tirelessly to ensure the smooth conduct of this session. The hospitality and logistical support provided by the governments of Uganda have greatly facilitated our work, and we are deeply appreciative of this support. Finally, let us once again express our deepest thanks to the governments of the Republic of Uganda for their unwavering commitment to the success of our annual session. Your efforts have transformed this gathering into a true celebration of collaboration, diversity, and the shared pursuit of common goals. Excellencies, please accept the assurance of our highest respect and consideration as we recall the Bandung spirit of solidarity, friendship, and cooperation that underpins our shared objective. We thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, for this message. This message shall be duly communicated to the authorities of the host government. We thank you all for this. The next items on our agenda are adoption of resolutions on organizational matters. The next item pertains to the adoption of resolutions on organization, administrative, and financial matters, namely, the report of the Secretary General on the work of the organization and financial matters of ALCO, that's resolution/DFT/63/ORG1. 2 will be the budget for the year 2026, that's resolution-DFT-63-ORG2. The third one will be regional arbitration centers, resolution/DFT/63/ORG3. And then fourth one will be the reappointment of Secretary General, resolution/DFT/63/ORG4. Revision of the scale of assessed contributions, resolution-DFT/63/ORG5. The draft resolutions I have just mentioned were annexed to each organizational brief circulated to member states. The draft resolutions on the reappointment of Secretary General reflects the decision taken by us in the second meeting of the delegations on the first day of the annual session. I hope that every delegation has had sufficient time to go through the items and to conduct informal consultations. We shall now proceed to adopt the resolutions one by one. The first resolution, as for the report of the Secretary General on the organizational, administrative, financial matters, are there any comments on this resolution? If none, resolution/63/ORG is adopted. Thank you very much. The second one is, as for ALCO budget for the year 2026, does any member want to make a comment? Silence means consent. If none, resolution/63/ORG2 is adopted. As for the report on ALCO regional arbitration centers, does anyone want to make a comment on this resolution? If there are no comments, resolution/63/ORG3 is adopted. Concerning the reappointment of the Secretary General of ALCO, does any member wish to make a comment from the floor at this point? If none, resolution/63/ORG4 is adopted. As for this report on scales of assessed contribution, are there any members who would like to make a comment at this point? If none, resolution/63/ORG5 is adopted. Thank you very much, distinguished delegates. We'll now move to the next item, which is the venue for ALCO's 64th annual session. Now the floor is open to any member wishing to host the annual session of ALCO. On this one, I'll give you more time to think about it. And as is our usual practice, Africa, Asia, Africa, Asia. So I'm looking at the Asian partner states with hope. Okay, if there are no self-nominations at this point, and if we so agree, we will task the Secretary General and the Secretariat to consult with member states on the matter. Are there any objections? If there are no objections to that, it is so decided. We will now move to the adoption of the provisional summary report of the session. Colleagues, we now come to the adoption of the summary provisional report of the 63rd annual session for adoption. A draft summary report of the session has been circulated by ALCO Secretariat. I would like to remind delegates that a period of 30 days from today is given to member states to go through the summary report carefully and revert to the Secretariat, whereafter the summary report will stand finalized. That said, if any member has any comments or corrections to the draft at this point, please feel free. On my list, I have the distinguished delegate from the People's Republic of China who would like to have an intervention at this point. Distinguished delegate from the People's Republic of China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, China would like to express its appreciation for the hard work and the fruitful outcome of the drafting committee for presenting the provisional summary report of the 63rd session of the ALCO. This is a wonderful work. At this point, I wish to specifically raise one issue, that is under the agenda item, 7th meeting of the open-ended working group on international law in cyberspace. Considering that this session was just commenced early this morning, just maybe 1 hour before now, and if you look at the provisional summary report, it just reflects the brief introduction from the Mr. Chair and Mr. Special Rapporteur of the working group. And in relation to the comments and the suggestions from the member states, we understood that for the time being, and the drafting committee, which convenes its final meeting early this morning before the commencement of the morning session, so they have no chance to prepare the language to reflect the comments and the suggestions from the member states. So having said that, considering that we have conducted very successful and fruitful discussions and in the format of a working group, so if you allow me, I would like to take this opportunity to present the specific language suggestion under this sub-item. So the suggestion from China would be goes to the paragraph 8.23 bis. So this is suggestion from China. And actually the copy of the language suggestion has been sent to the Secretariat early today. And if I may, I would like to request the kind assistance to the Secretariat to circulate the copy of the language suggestion from China. And I would like to read as follows, Mr. President, if you allow me, on the suggestion from China. Under paragraph 8.23 bis, it could be read as follows. On the consensual basic principles of international law applicable in cyberspace, and the explanatory note annexed to the report of the Special Rapporteur for the 63rd annual session of ALCO. All member states have been invited to provide their input to it before and at the 64th annual session. The consensual basic principles should be considered for possible adoption at the 64th annual session of ALCO, taking into account the input by member states. This is the first paragraph. The second one, the open-ended working group has been kindly requested to further its studies on AI from both the legal and the practical aspects. To this end, all member states have been invited in submitting their documents and papers on their respective domestic laws regulations, policies, and the practice on AI by the first half of 2026. The Special Rapporteur has been requested to further his studies on the issue of AI. The Secretariat of ECHO has been kindly requested to compile the above-mentioned information and the materials to be submitted by ECHO member states and the Special Rapporteur for its onward transmission for the working group's consideration. The working group could then deliberate and proceed with the work on the issue of AI in the next annual session in the year of 2026. Full stop. So I would like to clarify that the suggestion from China is on the basis of the deliberation, and in the morning session of the working group. And we would like to include this paragraph into the provisional summary report for consideration by the member states. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from the People's Republic of China. Any comments from the members? Distinguished delegate from Japan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I carefully heard the intervention made by our colleague of People's Republic of China. So I understand that one country, requested this proposal. We see no consensus. So maybe we will make a comment later on this summary report. Thank you very much.
Distinguished delegate from Syria. Sorry, not Iran. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for, and congratulations for coming to an end this event and this session in a very successful manner. Thank to you, Mr. President, also thank to the Secretary General and his capable team. The difficulty that was arising, I think was a technical one, because the last meeting of the drafting committee was convened prior to the 7th meeting of the working group, and I hope this will be taken into consideration for the next session, that the working group on the cyberspace will be convened in due time so as to be able to reflect its deliberation on the summary report in due time. This is the first point. The second point is that in my capacity as the chairperson of the working group, while I understand the comments of the distinguished representative of Japan, based on the discussion that I have had during the last couple of days, I think there is a general understanding and common understanding on the future work of the first, on the continuation of the work of the working group, and to address the emerging issues, including in particular AI. I think we have two options: either to summarize what the distinguished representative of China has proposed, which we fully support in our national capacity, or to streamline it in a way to compromise and remove the misunderstanding or concerns that other delegation may have. These 2 points were raised, but in my national capacity, I fully support the suggestion made by China. And in my capacity as chair of the working group, I concluded in my remark in the 7th meeting that there is a common understanding about the continuation of the work of the working group and to touch upon the emerging issues, including in particular AI. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from Iran. Any other comments? Turkey?
Thank you very much. I just received also this summary report. Of course, it's a summary, and everything which has been told during all these meetings cannot be reflected. That's understandable. I propose that I cannot see right now in the paper, maybe there can be a reference to the verbatim 2025 records in the paper. If someone would like to have more information and what has been told, I think it will be better if we can add a reference to verbatim 2025. Thank you so much.
Thank you, the distinguished delegate from the Republic of Turkey. Any other comments before I make a ruling? Yes, distinguished delegate from People's Republic of China.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor again. And I also thank the distinguished delegates from Japan for his inputs. And if I may, I would like to make some explanation to the session from China. The first one, I wish to echo the voice from the distinguished guests from Iran. Yes, because the session from China is on the basis of the discussion we just made and early this morning in the working groups meeting. Yeah, it's unfair to say the session from China is too late because we just finalized our meeting of the working group and specifically on the basis of the discussions and because in the morning session on the part of China, we do take the floor and introduce our suggestion and we didn't hear any kind of objection and we hear the support from the member states against this background and we presented the proposal. Yes, and in response to the discussions in the meeting of the working group early this morning. The second point I wish to make a clarification is that if you look at the session from China, it's quite neutral. Yeah, nothing has been decided yet. We just draw the attention of the member states and the Secretariat. Following the end of this year's working groups meeting, there are some further work to be conducted. The first one is that in the report from the Special Rapporteur, there is a document entitled Consensual Basic Principles of International Law Applicable in Cyberspace. We understood that why we have such kind of documents, because the working group receives authorization from the ECHO almost 10 years ago. So this is a joint efforts after a decades hard work from all the participants of the working group. So we don't want to ignore this kind of outcome. So that is why we sincerely hope that we could give a chance to the ECHO, because it's the first time for the working group to officially present this outcome to the member states. So that is why the session from China is to provide a chance, provide opportunities for all the member states to consider and to digest these outcome documents during the intersessional period. And then we will move to the next session of the ECHO, and we could consider for possible adoption of this outcome because it's very important. Yeah, like we heard too much comments in the early session of this week. The ECHO is a very unique platform in the area of international law, bridging Asian and African states. It's very necessary for the ECHO to work together to make its voice to be heard by the international community, in particular in relation to this very hot issue. So having said that, the suggestion from China is to keep all the possibilities. Yeah, nothing has been excluded. Yeah, every member state is entitled to present its comments and suggestions to the outcome documents presented by the Special Rapporteur. Yeah, so this is the substance of the suggestion from China. And the second point goes to the continuation of the working group. And in the previous interventions, we heard nothing. Yeah, we heard nobody to say, oh no, we don't need such kind of working group. We do support, we do appreciate the outcome from the working group. So the second session from China is to, on the basis of the discussions, and we just allow the working group to, by its way, to continue its work, to conduct a further study on the issue of AI from both legal and practical aspects. This is a very neutral suggestion. And so we understood that the time is quite short for member states to have a look at the written suggestion, because that is a fact, because we just finalized our discussions just
Okay.
a half hour ago. So having said that, we sincerely hope that member states could consider the suggestion from China in a spirit of cooperation and flexibility, because the suggestion from China is for the benefits of the ALCO as a whole. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from China. I think I will make a comment at this point. I did have a consultation with the People's Republic of China on this issue before I allowed them to raise it. I did raise the concern. My concern was always not allowing members an opportunity to develop absolute consensus on the issue of documents that are going to be adopted by them. I am of the view that I'm the feeling that we allow the matter as raised by China and the intervention to be noted in our record and be noted in our summary report, but take solace in the guidance given by the distinguished delegate from the Republic of Turkey, where we shall also add a note that all the verbatim proceedings of the session will be included in this document. This should allow members an opportunity again to comment on this issue within the 30-day window, and I will ask the Secretariat to take careful note of the views and recommendations raised by both by the People's Republic of China and the comments of both the Japan and the Republic of Turkey in this matter, and all the issues addressed in this session. I hope that will address all our concerns. Okay? So for clarity, the comments raised by China are going to be noted in this provisional summary report. Allow members to comment on the same within the 30-day window, and then the Secretariat will take note of all the comments raised and note those in the report. Okay? Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry to interrupt you. I will leave it to your capable leadership. Since it was this 7th meeting of the working group, I humbly request to add one sentence, because at the end of the meeting of the working group, I summarized some part of the discussion in my capacity as chair, not as an agreement by member states. And that was this statement that was clearly stated when I was in that seat. And it was this sentence: based on the suggestions that the member states were presented during the 7th meeting, the working group has now a better understanding about the future work of the working group, including in particular on consideration of AI. This will be attributed to me as the chair, so there will be no agreement that I'm saying. It could be some sort of summary report of the chairperson to be reflected on the summary report of the session. I think this could be a compromise solution, in addition to what you have said and summarized regarding the taking note of the comments from China. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from the Islamic Republic of Iran. I think the reason why we set up a drafting group was to avoid exactly this, where we are drafting on the go. I have made a ruling, and I request that members respect that. The comments of China are noted and will be included in the summary provisional report. Members are invited to make a comment on the report and specifically on that item within the 30-day window. I thank you. So, yes, distinguished delegate from the Republic of the Sudan.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. اطلعنا على التقرير الموجز ونشكر لجنة السياقة على اجتهادها، ولكن لدينا بعض الملاحظات. في صفحة 5 حينما تم ذكر الدعم السريع أقفلت عبارة الميليشيا. نحن نطالب بأن تضاف عبارة الميليشيا لكل الميليشيا المتمردة لكل بند ذكرت فيه هذه الميليشيا. الدعم السريع يجب أن يوصف بأنه ميليشيا متمردة، لذلك نود أن تؤخذ هذه التوصية في الاعتبار. كذلك في صفحة 21 في الفقرة 8:21 تم ذكر أن هناك دولة واحدة أدانت انتهاكات ميليشيا الدعم السريع المتمردة. نود تصحيح هذه العبارة لتصبح جمهورية السودان هي التي قدمت هذا التقرير لمجلسكم الموقر. لذلك نلتمس أن يذكر وفد السودان في هذه الفقرة في صفحة 21 الفقرة 8:21. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from the Republic of the Sudan. I'll just read for members for purposes of clarity, just to give you guidance on where my ruling is coming from. Rule 11:16, a verbatim record of the deliberations and discussions on the plenary shall be maintained and furnished to the member states within a period of 4 months from the date of conclusion of the annual session. A summary record of the discussions and decisions taken in the plenary shall be prepared by the Secretariat and furnished as soon as possible to the member states and also other states and international organizations. So I'm going to request the Secretariat to follow through on this and ensure that every member has got a verbatim record of what we discussed in this proceeding today. I hope that covers all our concerns. Thank you. Okay, so members, thank you very much for your intervention. You're also reminded that the work plan of ALCO Secretariat for the coming year will be prepared, and in accordance with the ALCO statutory rule, paying due regard to the recommendations expressed during this session in close consultation with the liaison officers of the member states, also bearing in mind the available resources. So let's, as we work on the work plan, distinguished delegates, let's ensure that the concerns and the continuity of our working groups and ETC are all addressed so we can make sure that our work is not left unattended. So I think we now have that matter closed. We shall adopt the provisional summary report with the comments made during these proceedings. I'll now move to the next item, which is a vote of thanks by Asian members of member states, distinguished delegates. Now we come to the concluding meeting of the 63rd annual session. I wish to invite the distinguished delegate from Syria to present their remarks. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نشكر الدول الآسيوية على إتاحة الفرصة لنا لتقديم كلمة الشكر نيابة عن الدول الآسيوية باسم سوريا. السيد الرئيس، السيدة نائبة الرئيس، أصحاب المعالي، السادة المندوبون المحترمون، السيدات والسادة، طاب يومكم. يشرفني أشد الشرف أن أتقدم بهذه الكلمة التعبيرية عن عميق الشكر والتقدير نيابة عن الدول الآسيوية في منظمة الألكو بمناسبة اختتام الدورة السنوية 63 لأعمالنا بنجاح. لقد كان اجتماعنا هنا في لؤلؤة إفريقيا مصدر فخر وامتنان كبير لجميع الوفود الآسيوية. لقد اتسمت مداولاتنا خلال الأيام الماضية بالثراء والعمق والرؤية المستقبلية، حيث ناقشنا أبرز القضايا الملحة في القانون الدولي بروح منفتحة قائمة على الاحترام المتبادل. وما يضفي طابعا استثنائيا على هذه النقاشات هو أن الصوت الجماعي لآسيا وإفريقيا والمستند إلى تاريخ مشترك لا يزال يسهم في تشكيل القانون الدولي بما يعكس مبادئ العدالة والشمولية والعالمية. وقد أكدت هذه الدورة مجدداً أن الممارسات القانونية للدول الإفريقية والآسيوية ما تزال تلهم المجتمع القانوني الدولي وتفتح آفاقاً جديدة أمامه. أصحاب المعالي، إن وحدتنا لا تستند فقط إلى الجغرافيا، بل إلى التاريخ المشترك والمبادئ الراسخة التي تجمع قارتينا. فروح باندونغ بروحها القائمة على الاستقلال والمساواة والتضامن والاحترام المتبادل لا تزال تلهم شعوب آسيا وإفريقيا جيلاً بعد جيل. وإن عودتنا إلى الأراضي الإفريقية بعد 6 سنوات في هذه الدورة قد أحيت تلك الروح نفسها التي جمعت آباءنا المؤسسين في مؤتمر باندونغ لعام 1955 لوضع أسس التعاون والصداقة الدائمين. وبالنيابة عن الدول الأعضاء الآسيوية أتقدم بأسمى آيات الشكر والتقدير إلى معالي السيد كيوانيوكا النائب العام لجمهورية أوغندا ورئيس هذه الدورة لما أبداه من حكمة قيادية ورؤية رشيدة في إدارة مداولاتنا. كما نخص بالشكر والامتنان معالي السيدة ماري شارلوت تانغ نائبة رئيس هذه الدورة على التزامها ودعمها المتواصل لضمان حسن سير أعمالنا. كما نعبر عن بالغ امتناننا لمعالي الدكتور كمالين الأمين العام لمنظمة الآلكو على رؤيته الثاقبة وعزيمته الراسخة التي أسهمت في نجاح هذه الدورة. فبفضل قيادته وبدعم فعال من السادة الأمناء العامين المساعدين وكامل طاقم الأمانة العامة تواصل الآلكو تعزيز مكانتها كمظلة موحدة لصوت آسيا وإفريقيا بكل ما تحمله من مصداقية وتأثير في الساحة القانونية الدولية. ونحن نثمن عاليا الجهود المضنية سواء الظاهرة منها أو التي تجري خلف الكواليس والتي تعكس روحا من التفاني والمهنية، وكل ذلك محل تقدير عميق منا جميعا. وأخيرا أود أن أشكر كافة المندوبين الكرام والمراقبين والحضور على مشاركتهم الفعالة، فلقد أغنت مساهماتكم القيمة وتنوع وجهات نظركم نقاشات هذه الدورة، وستكون حافزا في توجيه أعمال الآلكو في السنوات المقبلة. وفي ختام هذه الدورة دعونا نواصل حمل مشعل روح باندونغ بكل عزيمة وتجديد لتقوية أواصر التعاون بين آسيا وإفريقيا وضمان أن تظل الآلكو منارة للتضامن والعمل المشترك في تطوير القانون الدولي. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from Syria. We appreciate that. Thank you. Now I invite the distinguished delegate from the Republic of Djibouti to present the remarks on behalf of the African member states. And Djibouti is our newest member. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, Madam Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a distinct honor and privilege for me to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the African member states of ALCO at the successful conclusion of the 63rd annual session. Over the course of this session, our deliberations have been substantive, forward-looking, and enriched by the spirit of cooperation that defines our organization. The discussions have reflected the shared commitment of Asia and Africa to uphold justice, equality, and the rule of law in the true spirit of Bandung. I wish to place on record my sincere appreciation and gratitude to His Excellency Kirioa Kiwanuka, the Honorable Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda and President of the 63rd Annual Session of ALCO, for the distinguished manner in which he has guided our proceedings and for the commitment he has shown to the success of this session. His leadership has been a source of inspiration and pride for all African member states. I would also like to extend warm thanks to Her Excellency, Ms. Marie-Charlotte G. Tang, Vice President of this session, for her valuable support and gracious contribution in ensuring the smooth conduct of our deliberations. On behalf of the African member states, I also wish to place on record our deepest appreciation to the host country for the generous hospitality and excellent arrangements that ensure the smooth conduct of this session. We are especially delighted to be back in the Pearl of Africa, Uganda, returning to this continent after 6 years and meeting here once again since the annual session held in 2019. This moment is therefore not only historic, but also deeply symbolic as it revives the same Bandung spirit which in 1955 first brought our forebears together to lay the foundations of Afro-Asian solidarity. The warmth and dedication with which we have been received stands as a testament to those enduring bonds. Excellencies, I would further like to express our profound gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Kamalin Pinit Puvado, Secretary General of ALCO, whose vision, dedication, and tireless efforts have been central to the success of this annual session. Under his guidance, ALCO continues to grow in strength and relevance, giving voice to the collective aspirations of our two continents. Our sincere thanks also goes to the Deputy Secretaries General and the entire Secretariat team, whose professionalism, hard work, and behind-the-scenes efforts have made this session a resounding success. Their service embodies the best traditions of ALCO and deserves our highest commendation. Finally, I extend heartfelt thanks to all the distinguished delegates, observers, and partners for their active participation and valuable contributions. Your insights and perspectives have greatly enriched our deliberations and will guide the work of ALCO in the years to come. As we conclude, let us reaffirm our commitment to the Bandung spirit and to the continued solidarity of Asia and Africa in advancing international law for the benefit of all nations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from the Republic of Djibouti, for those remarks. I'll now invite the Secretary General to present the vote of thanks on behalf of the observer state.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen, it is a distinct honor to deliver this remark on behalf of the non-member state observer. At the conclusion of this landmark organization of the Asian African Legal Consultative Organization, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to the governments and people of the Republic of Uganda for their generous hospitality, to the ALCO Secretariat for its dedicated effort, and to member states for graciously welcoming our participation in this important deliberation. We also wish to express our sincere gratitude to the President and Vice President of this session for their able leadership and guidance. Their stewardship has greatly contributed to the smooth and successful conduct of our proceeding and has fostered an atmosphere of inclusivity and constructive engagement. The comprehensive agenda and inclusive discussion of this session have once again underscored ALCO's leadership in addressing the pressing legal issue of our time. The range of subjects and the depth of exchange have provided invaluable insight into the evolving landscape of international law, reaffirming ALCO's pivotal roles in strengthening the legal foundation of cooperation between Asia and Africa. We particularly commend the host governments and the ALCO Secretariat for their exceptional organization and meticulous preparation, which have ensured the smooth and successful conduct of this session. Their commitment has fostered an environment of openness, dialogue, and mutual respect, and to bring all participants to contribute meaningfully. In conclusion, we extend our best wishes to ALCO and its member states for continued success in advancing international law and promoting greater understanding between Asia and Africa. We look forward to deepening our engagement and to supporting ALCO's vital mission in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, for those kind remarks. Now, I'll request a distinguished delegate from the Permanent Court of Arbitration to present their remarks on behalf of the international organizations.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Permanent Court of Arbitration is deeply honored to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the international organizations represented here at the 63rd annual session of ALCO. This year's session has demonstrated ALCO's commitment to amplifying the voices of Asia and Africa in favor of the progressive development of international law. All the international organizations have been privileged to participate in daily enlightening deliberation, to engage in discussions with ALCO and its member states, and to be highlighted during the side events. These discussions will contribute to deepened cooperation and practical partnership to address the important legal and policy issues of our time. We, the international organization, extend our sincere thanks to the President and Vice President of this session for their leadership and guidance, which have ensured the productive and successful outcome of our work. We also wish to express our profound appreciation to the Secretary General of ALCO and the Secretariat for the support provided to observer international organizations. We are equally grateful to the government and people of the Republic of Uganda for their warm welcome and gracious hospitality here in Kampala. The excellent arrangement and seamless organization of this session have provided an environment conducive to constructive dialogue and meaningful collaboration. To conclude, we look forward to strengthening the bonds of partnership formed here and to working alongside ALCO and its member states in pursuit of a just, equitable, and inclusive international legal order. On behalf of the international organization, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the distinguished delegate from the PSA, for your remarks, the most appreciated. I now have the duty to invite myself to make the closing remarks. Honorable ministers present, my sister, the Vice President of the 63rd Annual Session, the Secretary General ALCO and the entire Secretariat, High Commissioners present, heads of delegation, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. As we come to the close of the 63rd Annual Asia-Africa Legal Consultative Forum organization here in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, I extend our profound gratitude to all member states, observers, and international organizations that have attended and actively participated in the deliberations of this 63rd session. You all took time off your busy schedules and dedicated this week to ALCO. For this, I thank you most sincerely. I also want to extend my appreciation to my colleagues in government, on the government of Uganda, for their warm hospitality and impeccable organization to this annual session of ALCO. I thank you. Like I said earlier on in the week, for everything that went well, please congratulate me and thank me. If anything did not go well, I showed you the people who are in charge. So I also want to commend the ALCO Secretary for its tireless efforts in facilitating this important gathering.
which continues to serve as a vital platform for dialogue and cooperation among Asian and African states on matters of international law. Over the past 6 days, we have not just engaged in deliberations, but witnessed the reaffirmation of solidarity, equality, and the rule of law, which bind our continents together. We commend the robust discussions on topics such as the law of the sea, environmental sustainability, asset recovery, outer space, and the evolving frameworks in international trade and investment that have taken place over the course of this session. The emphasis placed by several delegations on the need for equitable access to maritime and outer space resources resonates deeply with all member states, given that the sea and outer space is a common heritage for mankind. The call by member states for a rules-based international order that respects the sovereignty and developmental aspirations of all nations, particularly those in the global south, was prominent in the course of the session. The deliberations on the climate change and sustainable development have been compelling, particularly the need to address the disproportionate impact of climate change on developing nations. The call for strengthened partnerships, legal frameworks, and urgent need for the implementation of the principle of common but differentiated responsibility stands out. The discussion on international trade and investment have highlighted the importance of balancing economic growth with social justice and environmental protection. The delegation strongly advocated for reforms to global trade systems that promote fairness and inclusivity, ensuring that developing nations are not marginalized in the global economic order. Throughout the deliberations of this session, we have had a rich tapestry of perspectives from member states, reflecting our shared commitment to addressing pressing global challenges through the lens of international law. All delegations have closely followed the insightful statements and contributions made by fellow member states, observers, and international organizations. These statements have enriched our collective understanding and has underscored the importance of solidarity in tackling issues of mutual concern. ALCO continues to embody the Bandung spirit of friendship, solidarity, and cooperation, ensuring that the voices of Asia and Africa resonate in multilateral institutions. At a time when the global governance is under strain from fragmentation, unilateralism, and protectionism, ALCO serves as a unifying platform that strengthens South-South cooperation and upholds the principles of the UN Charter. Through its close cooperation with the International Law Commission and other UN organs, ALCO provides a channel for member states to influence the codification and progressive development of international law. It works on topics such as immunity of state officials, sea level rise, cybercrime, outer space law, international trade and investment law, climate change, and governance. Demonstrates its ability to connect regional priorities with global legal processes. By commissioning studies, convening expert meetings, and publishing legal analysis, ALCO equips member states with intellectual tools to engage effectively in negotiations and litigation before international tribunals. Through training programs, webinars, and publications such as the Yearbook of ALCO, the ALCO Journal of International Law, the organization enhances the legal capacity of its member states, particularly smaller and developing nations. This capacity building role enables member states to engage on a more equal footing in global negotiations and dispute resolution mechanisms. ALCO has remained a consistent voice on issues of justice and decolonization, including the long-standing agenda on Palestine and other occupied territories. ALCO provides a collective space for member states to reaffirm adherence to fundamental norms such as prohibition on the use of force, the right to self-determination, and accountability for grave breaches of international humanitarian law and human rights law. ALCO's contributions are reflected in landmark developments such as the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, the BBNJ Agreement, the UN Convention on Cybercrime, and the ongoing efforts to frame a model investment treaty. These illustrate how ALCO is not only a forum for dialogue, but an incubator of legal norms and institutions with global reach. By bringing together member states, observers, international organizations, including ICJ, ITLOS, Ancitral, UNIDROIT, ICRC, ALCO provides a unique diplomatic space for consensus building across diverse legal traditions. It enables Asia and Africa to consolidate positions, mediate differences, and project a common voice in global negotiations. In this way, ALCO's evolving role on the global legal and diplomatic landscape is one of continuity and innovation. Continuity in safeguarding the Bandung principles and the collective interests of Asia and Africa, and innovation in addressing new global challenges through law. The ALCO's strength lies in being both a custodian of past struggles of sovereignty and self-determination, and a forward-looking forum that equips member states to shape legal architecture of today's and tomorrow's world. Indeed, the discussions we have had on the pressing issues from climate change and environmental governance to human rights, trade, migration, cybersecurity, and emerging technologies have underscored ALCO's relevance in our time. Our deliberations have reaffirmed that ALCO is not just a consultative body, but a bridge between Asia and Africa, a bridge to the United Nations and other international institutions, and a bridge to the future of a fairer and more just international legal order. We have shown that when Asia and Africa speak with one voice, our message cannot be ignored. Beyond the session's deliberations, this annual session has provided an opportunity for member states to renew and nourish their relationships through various bilateral meetings held between themselves. The bilateral meetings have also been held with heads of international organizations and member states, which have, to some members, provided an entry point to collaboration, while with other members, it has been an opportunity for continued relationship. The session also marked by specific subjects on international law in side events held. The side events are complementary to the plenary session and have proved to be invaluable. They provided specialized forums on a diverse range of subjects, ranging from the necessity to sign the UN Convention Against Cybercrime, UNIDROIT's cooperation with ALCO, the presentation on instruments of access to credit, the understanding of the Hague Conference on Private International Law, ISDS reform on ancestral laws, the pathways of interstate of investment disputes hosted by the PCA. This provided a platform for informal networking, information sharing, and capacity building, thus enabling participants to exchange perspectives and forge new partnerships. In so doing, they enriched our deliberations and ensured that the outcomes of the session are not only inclusive, but are grounded in practical experience and shared wisdom. For this, I thank all organizations and member states that have hosted side events. Thank you very much. I cannot conclude without extending heartfelt appreciation for the gracious hospitality we have enjoyed through this session. We have especially been grateful to the People's Republic of China, the Republic of India, the Republic of Korea, and our host delegation for generously hosting us to memorable dinners and reception. Your warmth and hospitality and generosity have not only nourished us, but have strengthened our bonds of friendship and solidarity that unite our nations. Your Excellencies and distinguished delegates, as you return to your respective countries, I urge you to carry forward the resolutions adopted here. Let them not remain words on paper, but become instruments of action, guiding our legal systems, strengthening our institutions, and ensuring that international law reflects the realities and aspirations of our continents and our peoples. The path ahead will not be without challenge, yet with purpose, unity, solidarity, dialogue, and cooperation, we shall continue to transform challenges into opportunities. Let us therefore leave Kampala with a renewed sense of purpose, strengthened solidarity, and a firm commitment to build a future defined by peace, prosperity, and justice for the peoples of Asia and Africa through the pursuit of ALCO's objectives. May ALCO continue to grow from strength to strength, and may the spirit of Bandung remain alive in all our endeavors. Let me take this opportunity to invite you to take some time to explore the beautiful country before you return to your respective country. Uganda is blessed with breathtaking beauty, from the majestic River Nile, the snow-capped Rwenzori Mountains, the serene shores of Lake Victoria, which you have all shared with us this week, the world-renowned national parks that are the home of mountain gorillas and diverse wildlife and vibrant bird species. This is punctuated by a rich cultural heritage, warm hospitality. This blend will certainly give you unforgettable experience that truly reflect the spirit of Africa. We encourage you to discover these treasures and carry the lasting memories of Uganda's beauty and generosity with you. Like I said earlier, if you have not seen Uganda, you have not lived yet. So do not leave Uganda without leaving. You must leave. I thank you all for the participation and wish you a safe journey back home. It is actually interesting when you are the president, the clock doesn't even come up. The whole week the clock has been coming up. Today, I told them, please, no clock, this is my time. I thank you all for the participation and I wish you a safe journey back home. It is now my singular pleasure and profound honor to declare the 63rd session of ALCO closed. I thank you for God and my country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with those very few words, I formally declare the 63rd annual session of ALCO adjourned. Thank you once again. Please enjoy the rest of your stay in Uganda, and safe journeys back home will remain available to you. The government of Uganda remains available to you throughout your stay. If you want to stay for another month, we are happy to remain available to you. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your stay. God bless.
The largest gathering on legal issues since 2010, when we hosted the review conference of the Rome Statute. This is a platform for us to discuss. Uganda has been a steadfast partner. We are a small country, but we have never been afraid to take a stand and to fight for what we believe in. We also acknowledge that solidarity is at the center of all our policies. This gathering of the 63rd annual session of ALCO is probably the largest gathering on legal issues since 2010 when we hosted the review conference of the Rome Statute. This is a platform for us to discuss, but not to stop at discussing. We must influence global legal trends from here. We are not just about defending our rights, but we are also about diplomatic engagement. We believe that this conference is very timely given the kind of world in which we live. On behalf of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, I wish to welcome all delegates to Uganda. I'm convinced that at the end of these deliberations, there will be decisions and recommendations that will help to shape a better world.
Uganda is a fairy tale. You climb up, and at the end, there is a wonderful new world.
Excellencies and distinguished delegates, Malaysia welcomes matters enlisted in the agenda of this annual session. Malaysia looks forward to participating in the discussions with member states on the topics included in the agenda, the outcome of which to be used as a basis to advance ALCO's views in a more coherent, effective and meaningful manner.
We are proud that a fellow African is presiding over ALCO and is conducting the business and proceedings in an outstanding manner. Let me assure you, Excellency, of the full support of Mauritius during the Ugandan presidency.
As technology advances, the misuse of the internet and social media platforms by perpetrators has become a significant threat, necessitating immediate attention and action. By examining the current legal measures in place, there is an opportunity to identify gaps and propose solutions that are responsive to the evolving nature of the threat.
The Philippines also welcomes ALCO's continued attention to legal protection of migrant workers, a topic we introduced to the agenda. With decades of experience and established systems, the Philippines stands ready to share best practices in migrant worker protection, benefit portability, and crisis response.
We emphasize the need for a just and equitable system that allows developing countries, particularly those emerging from conflict, like Somalia, to benefit from fair participation in the global economy.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, an important milestone in the development of international law has been the adoption of the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime.
Mr. President, Africa and Asian countries can share important lessons from efforts to strengthen national IHL committees to the incorporation of IHL military training curricula to regional leadership and responding humanitarian needs and commitment is there.
Through the conclusion of host country agreements, contracting states are offered to host PC-administered proceedings in their territory. This is not only to facilitate access to neutral arbitration, but also to enhance the host country's reputation as an international arbitral forum that upholds the rule of law.
The Commission had in its program of work sought to complete in 2025 work on 3 topics: sea level rise in relation to international law, immunity of state officials from foreign criminal jurisdiction, and general principles of law.
I thank all the delegates for their statements, and I thank all the 6 members of the International Law Commission and everybody for your valuable contribution.
I take this opportunity to welcome all of you, the esteemed delegates and observers, taking part in the 63rd session of Africa Legal Consultative Organization, ALCO. Uganda last hosted ALCO in 1993. Uganda is proud to host this annual session of ALCO and wish to reaffirm our commitment to the organization's objectives as a member state of ALCO. The annual session is an opportunity for the member states to shape its ideas, forge consensus, and chart the course for our collective efforts for the year ahead. ALCO is a product of a historic Bandung Conference of 1955. It was founded by the 7 nations. It has grown to include 49 member states, representing nearly all the member nations of our 2 continents. ALCO has been instrumental in ensuring that Africa and Asia are not just participants, but leaders in the global legal discourse. As we gather here today, we face a world of unprecedented challenges. Climate change threatens our ecosystem and livelihoods. Conflicts and insecurity test our stability. Economic inequalities strain our societies. Rapid technological advancement, from artificial intelligence to cybersecurity, raise complex legal questions that demand our attention. In this context, ALCO's role is more crucial than ever before. As we embark on this session, let's seize the opportunity of strengthening ALCO's impact through the member states on the continents of Africa and Asia. Let us therefore renew the Bandung spirit, reaffirm our solidarity, and strengthen our collective voice. I wish you a productive deliberations as a memorable stay in the Pearl of Africa.
Nearly 70 years have passed since ALCO was founded, yet its purpose remains ever important. In moments of challenge and transition, it has provided Asia and Africa with a common platform to reaffirm the principles that ensure international relations. ALCO has consistently reminded us that it is a force of law, not the law of force, that charts the path forward. When relations falter, it is international law that steadies. When divisions arise, it is dialogue that restores trust. This is the enduring spirit of Bandung: unity in diversity, solidarity in struggle, and peace as the foundation of progress. Building on that spirit, ALCO has become a channel through which Asian and African voices shape the international legal order. Indeed, international law benefits most when it is informed by the shared practices and perspectives of our regions. Today, as we hand over the presidency to our brothers and sisters of Uganda, we do so with confidence. In this handover, we leave 3 hopes for Kampala. First, continuity with purpose. We hope that our work be guided by the Consultative Declaration, strengthening ALCO as a platform for dialogue and capacity building, and amplifying our perspectives in global fora. Second, cooperation and collaboration. We hope that member states share best practices and experiences, thereby enriching the effective implementation of international legal norms. Third, practical outcomes. We hope that Kampala advances concrete steps which member states can use: dissemination and appreciation of international law from Asian African perspectives, sharing of best practices on mutual legal assistance, particularly in the context of asset recovery, continued progress on investment law reform, and constructive exchanges feeding directly into our work in the 6th Committee of the UNGA and beyond. The work we do here will carry the flame of the Bandung spirit higher still, not only guide the future of international law, but also serve the well-being of our nations.
Uganda has been a steadfast partner. We are a small country, but we have never been afraid to take a stand and to fight for what we believe in. We also acknowledge that solidarity is at the center of all our policies. This gathering of the 63rd annual session of ALCO is probably the largest gathering on legal issues since 2010, when we hosted the review conference of the Rome Statute. This is a platform for us to discuss, but not to stop at discussing. We must influence global legal trends from here. We are not just about defending our rights, but we are also about diplomatic engagement. We believe that this conference is very timely given the kind of world in which we live. On behalf of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, I wish to welcome all delegates to Uganda. I'm convinced that at the end of these deliberations, there will be decisions and recommendations that will help to shape a better world.
Excellencies and distinguished delegates, Malaysia welcomes matters enlisted in the agenda of this annual session. Malaysia looks forward to participating in the discussions with member states on the topics included in the agenda, the outcome of which to be used as a basis to advance ALCO's views in a more coherent, effective and meaningful manner.
We are proud that a fellow African is presiding over ALCO and is conducting the business and proceedings in an outstanding manner. Let me assure you, Excellency, of the full support of Mauritius during the Ugandan presidency.
As technology advances, the misuse of the internet and social media platforms by perpetrators has become a significant threat, necessitating immediate attention and action. By examining the current legal measures in place, there is an opportunity to identify gaps and propose solutions that are responsive to the evolving nature of the threat.
The Philippines also welcomes ALCO's continued attention to legal protection of migrant workers, a topic we introduced to the agenda. With decades of experience and established systems, the Philippines stands ready to share best practices in migrant worker protection, benefit portability, and crisis response.
We emphasize the need for a just and equitable system that allows developing countries, particularly those emerging from conflict, like Somalia, to benefit from fair participation in the global economy.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, an important milestone in the development of international law has been the adoption of the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime.
Mr. President, Africa and Asia's countries can share important lessons from efforts to strengthen national IHL committees to the incorporation of IHL military training curricula to regional leadership and responding humanitarian needs and commitment is there.
Through the conclusion of host country agreements, contracting states are offered to host PC-administered proceedings in their territory. This is not only to facilitate access to neutral arbitration, but also to enhance the host country's reputation as an international arbitral forum that upholds the rule of law.
The Commission had in its program of work sought to complete in 2025 work on 3 topics: sea level rise in relation to international law, immunity of state officials from foreign criminal jurisdiction, and general principles of law.
I thank all the delegates for their statements, and I thank all the 6 members of the International Law Commission and everybody for your valuable contributions.
In recent years, the most important mission of the International Seabed Authority, ISA, has been the formulation of the regulations on the exploitation of mineral resources in the international seabed area.
The challenges we are facing are too vast for any nation to solve alone. But together, under the framework UNCLOS and in its implementing agreements, we can ensure a peaceful, sustainable, and equitable ocean for the present and future generations.
Tanzania actively participates in regional and international initiatives to enhance maritime safety and security.
In order to achieve decades of ocean science for sustainable development 2021 to 2030, we stress that much greater efforts should be undertaken by states and all other stakeholders, including through international cooperation and coordination, as well as by providing not only capacity building, but also transfer of marine technology and know-how to the developing countries.
India has also played a vital role in supporting the effective functioning of key institutions established under UNCLOS, including ITLAWS and the Commission on the Limits of Continental Shelf. These bodies are essential to ensuring the Convention's provisions are implemented fairly and that the benefits of ocean use are equitably used.
The law of the sea embodies the principle that our oceans are a shared resource to be managed for the common good. South Africa remains committed to defending its laws, advancing Afro-Asian priorities within the ISA, and ensuring that environmental protection, equity, and the rule of law remain central to global ocean governance. I thank you.
Indeed, in 2021, we amended our Inland Water Transport Act to regulate the inland water transport by the registration ensuring the registration of vessels, requiring licenses, ensuring safety and management of resources, and also the marine security and port regulation. In this regard, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea provides useful principles that reinforce our national and regional efforts to sustain, manage transboundary waters for the benefit of present and future generations.
The Republic of Korea believes that it is vital to share technologies and enhance capacity among nations to ensure the effective implementation of the law of the sea.
It is a shame for the international community that, despite decades of atrocities against the Palestinian people, violation of their inalienable right to self-determination, and illegal occupation by the Israeli regime, the crimes persist. And the Israeli regime is more brazenly committing aggression, genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity with the support of certain countries.
Malaysia believes that ALCO can be a good platform to galvanize coordinated efforts to realize the inalienable right to self-determination of the Palestinian people.
Djibouti calls on all ALCO member states to ensure the full implementation of their international legal obligations and translate their statements of condemnation into concrete, collective, and coordinated political and legal actions to secure justice for the Palestinian people.
To conclude, Mr. President, we propose that ALCO can support the Palestinian people in the International Law Committee at the United Nations in New York.